around the world of minds, there's always this scary situations that you can die and be, you can die of any an explosion, or you can be buried alive. And so, is that the premise? How all these characters come alive from the past?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of leave it to the audience to decide how these, kind of Morlocks, for lack of a better word, underground might come to be. But really, there's sort of a manifestation of our wrongdoings in a way, and that's one of the sort of sub themes I think in this film that I enjoyed exploring.
How much the fact that the explorers are amateur makes it easier for the audience to identify with them. I mean,
Uh,
for me, it was easy to identify with them because they're not just guys who know everything and the equipment. They're like, if I go and try to find something, like out of place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's critical to have a proxy that you can sort of buy into or go along with. And, this was sort of a wide broadcast of characters coming at things from different points of view. And hopefully everybody who watches this film feels like there might be one character that they sort of identify with to some degree, and the others are just making terrible decisions. But this one guy or gal might have it sort of right. The other thing is just to take all those expectations and flip them on their head and defy expectations. And I think that's a fun thing to do with these characters too.
How would you define the film? As a horror thriller or?
Well, I don't know if this is a real genre or not, but I'd say adventure horror, along the lines of The Descent. Those are movies that I love. I really like when I'm sitting down to watch a movie to be taken to a new place, either physically or emotionally, preferably both, and really experience something on a big cinematic scale that you might not be able to experience from your backyard. And, that's why I say it's a little bit like adventure horror.
So, Brad, how much did your experience in other departments or in other sections of the film industry help you to tell the story?
I think it's pretty critical. I'd say any and all life experience kind of comes into play when you're directing a movie, because there are just millions of little questions. There are constantly surprises that are thrown at you every single day. And you need to be able to pull on your own sort of gut feeling, trust your instincts, trust the team around you, but also fall back on some of the craft. And that's one of the things that I've had the great pleasure of working on, for the majority of my career, is sort of the craft of filmmaking from, a visual effects perspective, and then, directing second unit for people like Matt Reeves. It allows me to really experience things and immerse myself in the world so I can understand where the problems might be and try to avoid them before they ever pop up. And then if problems do arise, to trust myself a little bit to solve them.
How important are creatures that you create to bring us into a different world?
I think it's critically important. And I think you always want them to be unique in some way, shape, or form. And, I also think metaphor is an important thing too. And if you can have a character or creature that looks a certain way, that's terrifying on the surface, but by thinking about it or digging a little bit deeper, you might find that they represent something a little bit more. And I think that's the big challenge in designing creatures. And, that's also the fun.
But considering that designing a creature, no, I think that if you design a creature, you have total freedom because you don't have a point of reference. Like a human has to have 2 ears, 2 arms, but creatures can be anything that you can imagine, even from your childhood. So how satisfying is it to be so free when it comes to creating, or am I mistaken and you're not too free and you're confined to a concept that is
Well,
dictated by the
no,
storyteller?
you're absolutely right. There was a quite a bit of freedom, but there are constraints on a smaller movie like this. Financial constraints, for example, budgetary time, things like that. But yeah, there was a great opportunity to really explore the designs in this character. It's something I love to do. I love to do it for other filmmakers when I'm a visual effects supervisor, and I love to do it on my own films and kind of explore my own ideas. So it's a blast, and it's a lot of fun.
You know, in the last year, I've been seeing more and more independent films, mid-budget, not too big budget, but really author stories. Like storytellers are coming out with great stories that before maybe they were producing as well, but they didn't get to the audience because we were suffocated in a way, quote unquote, by Hollywood blockbusters. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're not. So. Do you think there's a silver lining of the pandemic when it comes to people, directors like you, or people that are storytellers, who are storytellers?
I think in some ways, yes. You know, like everybody, I hope the pandemic is over as soon as possible. But on the flip side, I think people are hungry for more and more kind of excitement and entertainment and willing to explore a little bit more. And it gives filmmakers like myself and others an opportunity to kind of get their work out there. And although I absolutely love people to see this film on the big screen, it was shot for the big screen, that's not possible in every place around the world at the moment. So watching it on the small screen actually gets more people to see it and kind of you're absolutely right. Gives filmmakers an opportunity to reach a broader audience and tell more stories.
I think it's great because in the last year, I've seen beautiful movies that maybe in 2018, we wouldn't have access to them because either we didn't know or, I don't know, they were just running on festivals. And if you don't go to a specific festival. So yeah, I'm very happy for that. And look at all the potential Oscar nominations. Are a lot of films are independent. What do you think of that? If you can include the concept of award season in your answer.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, and I think you know what I've seen so far for this award season is an incredibly diverse group of films that cover all walks of life and lots of different perspectives, and I really love to see things broaden like that. And you mentioned some of these films not being able to be seen by a lot of people unless they were at a film festival, but that has changed now, and people can watch these films at home and really experience them and talk about them. And I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's really great. We're getting a lot of culture through the small screen or through those streaming platforms. One last question. Do you think movie theaters are going to disappear?
No, I don't think.
I don't want them to disappear, but I want to know what you think.
No, I mean, I hope the smaller theaters find a way to survive during this time. But I think a lot of people really do, like myself, love that communal experience and love sitting down and experiencing and going on that ride. Part of that ride is physically taking yourself to a new place and, you know, the kind of excitement, sense of anticipation that builds, and then that sort of energy from the audience. Nothing is more exciting to me than being in sort of a opening weekend horror movie with a really amped audience. There's no better audience in the world because they are ready to have fun. They're ready to be terrified. And, you know, when you feel that and people are screaming and jumping and laughing, it's great. And I don't see that going away anytime soon.
You feel part of a community. Also, you're in a big room and it goes dark and then the light comes from the screen. I love that too. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.